Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Overclocking Show. Tonight, with the fourth episode, it's not just the three of us. There's four guests tonight, but the fourth one will be revealed later on. Tonight, we're gonna discuss a couple of benchmarking results, and we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff that happened this week. For example, there was new hardware releases from Intel, something upcoming from the AMD side, and blah blah blah. New problems, old stuff. It's always the same thing. Let's start off with the overclocking results. This week was quite interesting, and actually, I had some fun this week because I followed live something like a duel between overclockers when XA published some scores for the Cinebench R11.5 version, blah, blah, blah. And he went like, yeah, this is the global first place. Those are world records and this and that. Then I clicked on the link and it went live, the Sophos backup scores. And everything went to, sorry for the word shit, because he thought to be the first, but he was already the second. So, guys, what do you think about it? Should we discuss about the sandbagging thing that went on for the last 15 years or something?
Well, I mean, it was a monster run. I mean, XA's run was ridiculously quick. And then, like, literally within, even I noticed that. It was, like, within, like, 3 minutes or 5 minutes of that coming up, like, Sophos had his live. Yeah, it was just, I cracked up. I mean, but then I expect none less, you know. He took that record, XA responded, and then you knew Sophos probably has something in the bag, you know.
I'm honestly surprised Extreme Addict didn't have a backup.
I commented the post and he said it was the best score he had. And Sophos said much better CPU. That's why he was able to update
I mean, that's
backups.
That's for sure as well. CPU plays a really big part here. So, I mean, as usual, you know, Silicon Lottery, binning rules, all of that applies. Whoever has the best and can really, really use it. I mean, look, in terms of talent, I think everybody, the entire top 20, top 30, you know, given the CPU, can really push them hard. They know most of the tweaks. It's not like there's any major secrets here. So, yeah, I mean, given the hardware, these numbers are possible, but getting the hardware and sitting there and finding the CPU and testing and testing and testing, yeah, that's what separates the men from the boys, pretty much.
Yeah, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the show, like a couple of episodes ago, because of the usual thing going on between Sannino and Dankop and XA, I'm not a really huge fan of XA, so that thing cracked me up like nothing in the world. And I was bent on the bed, just crawling and laughing. I couldn't really. I swear, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, it was first 5 seconds ago. Why? Then I went like, Sophos just uploaded a score and everything. You know, like the GIF for the guys that rap Super Hot Fire, that like the guys goes, oh, that was exactly the same. that was exactly the same. But speaking of new scores, there was also this week by Ralph. Ralph from Sweden, a Swedish overclocker. He broke the 3D Mark 3 world record with a single GPU, right?
Yes, a 1080 Ti.
Yes, a GTX, of course, a 1080 Ti. What else? And a 77 foot. 77 foot EX on X299.
With like O3, you know, you don't. It's not super critical that, you know, you have like the fastest GPU, but it definitely helps. But I mean, it's also a lot to do with clocks, it being a legacy benchmark. You know, you generally run them with like a dual core or a quad core. I mean, being the most popular, obviously. So, I mean, the CPU was running 7 gigahertz through 3D. That is spectacular. I mean, that is insane. That's insane.
That's probably the only reason why X299 is not a complete failure in the eyes of the overclockers. Because there's so much binning going on the Intel side, apart from the one that overclockers do, of course.
True.
But it's so impressive, it's so massive that you can achieve scores like that. And like the scores was actually held for weeks, if I remember correctly. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
been the score. The second score was like Oh wait, it seems like there's also another score. Okay, he actually updated the score with a better one.
Wow.
So he got like 600 points more. Yeah, it's a really tiny amount, but still he managed to beat the previous one. Oh, that's why. Okay, the team AU, the Australian team, just went and uploaded more
they did one in
scores.
June.
Yes, but they uploaded one score today. Like there was a tiny battle between them.
So here we go again.
There we go again, guys.
I think the biggest
we
sandbag
gotta
fest
make
was
a banner with sandbagging at its finest. That's
the best sandbagging was EVGA versus Asus on the 780 Ti and Titan, the original the big Kepler cards. That was ridiculous. It was day to day. Basically, it was EVGA's in the lead, Asus in the lead, EVGA in the lead, Asus in the lead, and it went on for like 2 weeks before it finally settled.
And I'm expecting the cards died, all of them. That's why
we're actually missing the third musketeer. Dan Cobb hasn't come and played yet. So I expect.
And that's one of the nicest things. I mean, it's gonna be a nightmare for PR and marketing guys. Like they gotta update the charts with the results every day because they go and fight.
By the time that probably goes live, that record's already gone.
Yeah, because marketing is always low. So that's totally makes sense. Yes, it's not a news. And I think that's pretty much it for the overclocking stuff this week, but not the bottom of.
Also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I don't know, but I was half expecting. Even Kingpin's been on a rampage, huh? I mean, he's been killing Time Spy and Firestrike. Yeah, he's been devastating that shit. I mean, also
on Monday there should be the official announcement for the 1080 Ti King.
Yeah, that's a card that I'm truly waiting for.
And I'm basically I just sold half for my liver, one kidney, and I should be able to pay half for the card. So I'm on the way to the card.
Well, Bill, I might be lucky enough.
I might be lucky enough to get to bench that card for review purposes for Gamers Nexus.
I don't like him anymore.
I won't even have to do air testing. Here's the best part. I won't need to do air testing or water testing or anything. I get that card. Assuming I get that card, we're not sure if I'll be allowed to, good chance of the card dying. So it really depends on if EVGA will be okay with sending one. But if they are okay with it, the card turns up and I just put it straight on liquid nitrogen. I don't have to worry about a damn thing.
Yeah,
I really don't like.
That's just the best.
I thought we were friends, and now we're not anymore.
Exactly.
Jokes aside, this week also there was something nice for the OCTV show, if I'm right, because it was like a last-minute news that I got informed about, and Francois Piet Noel is moving out of Intel.
Yeah.
So he's leaving Intel, and we'll see what's gonna happen in the next days, weeks, or I don't know. I don't know if it's a retirement, if he's changing company. I think it's really early to say anything about the future of Francois. So we wish him the best, because
we wish him all the best. I mean, he's
many years in a company like Intel are sign that it was important, and that's pretty much it. Speaking
also,
of the competitions,
it's the usual suspects. The Gigabyte competition is still running, guys. It's the
you go on, because I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep up with all these competitions, because
basically
we've
had some more results come in. From 6 we've gone to 14.
They're sandbagging.
Yeah.
There's going to be like 100 or 200 subs on the last day of the competition.
Let's hope not. Because we all know what happens when they try to send back to I mean, all of them together.
I don't think there will be enough people to
crash
take down the server.
Nobody.
I don't think, like, whoever tries to submit in the last 30 minutes and doesn't get to submit deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, what happens?
That's on you.
Of course, of course.
What happens if you don't have, like, internet, or, like, if the HWBot server goes down? It happens.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just taking it easy, because here's the thing. The competition still has 9 days to go, so there's no rush.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah.
Post scores.
Actually, it's 10 days, so there's even less rush.
9 days, 14 hours.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's not really 10.
You're not my friend anymore. Don't talk to me.
Mate, I don't even know if I'm going to get that card. It just might.
Sure. You say that live, now it's a thing, so you're gonna get it, and we hate you. That's easy.
EGA does not watch this stream, and if they do, I'm surprised.
Whatever.
So yeah, Rookie Rumble 45 is also, 46 is also up and running, sorry, yeah, and then we've got 118 overclockers. This competition is really heating up. 14 days to go, 118 already in there. I mean, it's good to see this. It's really good to see, you know. And we're seeing very good results even in the AMD side of it, but lots and lots of domination from America. Hang on, is that all United States of America? Yeah, those are all Americans.
Oh, Elkim just commented in the chat. I will get one probably, so I'll send him pictures.
Wait, send who pictures?
To you.
Send you pictures? Send Atlas pictures?
You.
No, I've already got pictures, dude. I got pictures around Computex of the card. There's already, I've already done a PCB analysis on it. It's like,
oh, that's right. Yes. You mentioned the fact that the card doesn't have any components over the GPU, so you can install bot without extensions and blah blah blah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just get back on the topic, or we'll never get back on focus, as we always do. Unfortunately. Speaking of overclock and air cooling, because we never talk about air cooling, we always focus on the LN2 part. The guys at Hardware Unboxed, that is one of the most reliable hardware YouTube channel from Australia, just reported that one of their CPU, the 7800X, so the 6-core, right?
Yeah.
The 6-core parts. They were using an ASRock motherboard to overclock it to like 4.7 gigahertz, so pretty human considering that Roman got 5 gigahertz on air. Yeah. So that's pretty a good score. And they have some burn pin on the lower part of the CPU. So you can see from the picture that they have like this little black spot on underneath the CPU that wasn't there before, and now they couldn't get 4.7 gigahertz anymore. So it actually
that's definitely a burn pad.
So
I mean, it looks like it's arced. It's either there was a problem in that socket, or this could be socket gate all over again. Please no. Please no, we've been through that once.
I honestly don't know what you say, because as you know, I actually got an X299 board from MSI, the guys that had it before me just trashed it. So I gotta wait for MSI to.
This was, I think, during what? i5 760. I mean, the i7 760. That generation. I mean, just. Because I remember this, it was between like Lotus and Foxconn. Both made sockets for boards back then, and I'm not sure which ones had issues, but I think it was the Foxconn ones that had issues, or the Lotus ones. But one of them had issues and one of them did.
I highly doubt it's the Lotus one.
Yeah.
I think it's for the Foxconn one.
We don't know what that pad does. So
true.
Yeah, we should actually.
It's one pad. Like, here's the thing. That's one pad. If it was something like all of VCore blew up, that'd be like half the chip or something. That'd be huge.
That would be.
But the thing is, the other, like, the way I see it, it could maybe be something to do with the fact that X299 has to support 2 completely different voltage standards.
Yeah, the
because you have
fiber
Kaby Lake
and
X
the not
with no fiber, and then Skylake X with a fiber. So, I'm not sure though.
That's a shitty situation. What I would suggest is to make two different lines of motherboards. Like,
yeah, we have that. It's called Z270.
I know, but since Intel launched X299, we should. I mean, not us. They should do something about it, like optimized for Kaby Lake X or optimized for Skylake X.
Here's the thing: they already have a Kaby Lake socket, and Kaby Lake X is literally Kaby Lake on a better package.
Yeah.
So
they could have done easily a 7750K.
What?
This is actually 6-core. This is Skylake. Yeah, this didn't happen to Kaby Lake. This happened to Skylake.
Well, yeah, I know it happened to Skylake X, but it's like that socket needs to support two completely different voltage standards because they fit Kaby Lake and Skylake X. Though I heard the initial problem was that you'd put in a Skylake X and then you'd swap in a Kaby Lake X and it would blow up the Kaby Lake because it would still think it's a Skylake X and give it 1.8 volts because that's the fiber voltage, and that was now 1.8 volts V-core.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, it's negligence by the guy that installed the CPU. Like, come on, it.
No, the motherboard should pick up. No, because there's a pin specifically in that socket for identifying CPUs. You shouldn't, if the board is set up properly, it shouldn't do that as it boots up.
Technically, because every time you plug a new CPU in it always says new CPU, so it should detect.
It should detect the CPU before it tries to shove 1.8 volts through it.
Exactly.
So that's but apparently that got sorted out. So I don't know what this could be. So, because that was supposed to be an issue that was like earlier engineering samples, so I'm not sure what on earth this is.
It could be anything, actually. Of course, on the next week,
it could also be just a one-off case where they got a dodgy board or something.
Yeah,
true.
I mean,
ASRock still doesn't.
If this is an issue, we're going to see more of these.
What?
If this is an issue, we're going to see more of these, because back then also the same thing started happening to a lot of people when they had socket issues. So we'll know soon enough.
Yeah, the thing is, ASRock doesn't have any mainboard yet on the market. I mean, reviews are coming out, samples are being sent, but I don't think there's actually many markets supplying X299 boards from ASRock yet. Maybe they're just adjusting those kind of things. No, it would be a bummer.
Like exploding motherboard?
Yeah.
It's like, now we turn the exploding motherboard.
Oh, damn. Oh dear, my PC just exploded. Oh no, dear. And so, other than that, nice. As opposing to the 6-core, Intel also announced, well, it was leaked actually, it wasn't announced, the 7920X, the 12-core parts from Intel, and it has a 2.9 gigahertz base frequency. And that's the first time that an extreme CPU has a frequency lower than 3 gigahertz since 2006 with the X6800. It was socket LGA 775. Right. So we're back to the roots, I suppose. I don't know. It's quite a
can you imagine the 18-core now?
Yep.
That's the point.
2.5 gigahertz?
Just
2.5? Yep.
No, I think it's going to be 2.
Yeah,
2.2. Oh man.
Yeah, it's gonna
the thing is, you're as you push frequency up and voltage up, your power draw goes up exponentially. So I'd be hoping they wouldn't have to drop it that far down. But who knows?
Man, I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
because I think they're just getting screwed by their power budget. That's what's happening here.
Well, of course they are. I mean, this is literally 3 times the 7700K. That's what it is.
That's.
You look at a 7700K. 7700K at 4 gigahertz is rated for 95 watts TDP and does pull around that. So, what?
270 watts.
I said, what? Yeah, it's a 12 core. It's a 12 core based on the same freaking architecture as Kaby Lake. You make 4 times as many you make 3 times as many transistors. They're gonna pull out 3 times as much power.
Oh man.
Yep.
Oh man.
So, I mean, they did rework some of the cache, but it's not like it's going to give them massive power savings.
Massive power savings, exactly.
Like, cache is power hungry, but ultimately not enough to change the fact that you have 12 cores, and those cores for 4 gigahertz pull, you know,
yeah, and then you've got
a good 90 watts, 80 watts maybe.
As usual, I'm speechless with the Intel decisions about
yeah,
CPUs.
Exactly. No, because this just...
I mean, I was a proud user of Intel since until the last year with X99, but now...
Here's the thing, you couldn't be a proud user of AMD until Ryzen. Like, literally, there was nothing.
Yeah, now the part just literally inverted. That's...
It didn't invert. No, we're seeing competition for the first time in... I don't know when AMD completely dropped out, because when I got into computers...
5,
yeah,
6
so
years.
first time in 6 years that Intel has to actually do something. And they found out they have. And it's like, because here's the thing, Intel is basically panicking over the idea of we're going to lose the core count war, because AMD's like, oh yeah, we got a 12 core and a 16 coming out. And Intel's like, okay, we also got an 18 core. We got more cores. And
yeah,
they
pulled the thick
never
move.
planned to build an 18 core. There was no way they were planning an 18 core, when they're basically going like, okay, so we can't actually clock it anywhere near high enough. We also have all the VRM issues recently with overclocking. There's the thermal paste, which basically makes overclocking on these things a nightmare.
I am going to bet you money that the 14 core, 16 core, and the 18 core are soldered parts. I'm willing to bet hard cash on the fact
I
that
guess it's the 12 cores too then.
And that's when the shitstorm's going to truly happen, because they're going to be like, what the hell, Intel? Like, you solder the high-end stuff and then you give us the...
No, because at that point, Intel's going to be like, well, you can't even cool it at stock clocks if we don't solder these. That's when they're finally going to give up.
The point is, as overclockers, we always talk about the top of the top end, but if you take into consideration the fact that X299 already is an high-end platform, I mean, when you buy a 6-core CPU, an 8-core CPU, a 10-core CPU, you're buying a freaking HEDT system. You should be granted the best, because you're paying for the best. I mean, you're not paying...
No. You're not, until you're paying for an i9, you're not paying for the best. You're paying for a mere i7.
Or a mere i3.
Jesus. It's
or an i5 even.
Okay,
you can buy a high-end desktop i5.
I honestly don't know if any guy at Intel is watching the show right now. If you are, try.
I'm never going to see an Intel CPU again.
I'm
never going to send one.
I don't care. I always bought them if I needed, so that it doesn't change anything to me. So this is my personal opinion. So don't take it as the OC show opinion, as the tool opinion, as the Buildzoid opinion. It's my own opinion. This shit is gonna go so deep this year that Intel is gonna lose something like 20% CPU share just this year if they don't try to come up with something that is not the usual rebranding, renaming, die shrinking, optimization shit. Like they went like
that.
It was the sorry.
I doubt that. Maybe
it was
in
the TikTok thing because of the Moore's law and stuff. Then he went to the process architecture PA. Okay, the TikTok became PA. Now they went process architecture optimization. We're on the third O. PA. Stop this fucking O and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, I always take into consideration the normal user point of view, because I'm more of a normal user compared to you guys that like you breed LN2 to leave. Basically, that's what you do. And I cannot believe that someone that needs an high-end platform should pay that much for having so little more against the lower-end platforms. I mean, it's like shooting in your own foot. It's it's counterproductive on the long term, even on the short term actually, because we saw that the Passmark, what was the benchmark with the CPU share thing, like 10% in the last 4-6 months.
Yeah,
it is huge. Like it was 10 years since it happened the last time. So yeah, sorry for rambling, but I need to take it out of my system because Intel is fucking up so much this year, and I cannot take it anymore.
It makes it.
Sorry, I had to do that. I gotta drink something.
Okay, basically, I mean, this just makes the 16 core look like an even better. It just makes it look even more delicious. If that's what this is doing, because at $1,000, 3.4 gigahertz. Okay, Intel may be faster, may have slightly better latencies, may have all of that stuff. I give it all of that.
Actually, they don't even have the latencies thanks to the mesh, as we've seen.
Yeah, actually,
Skylake X is slower than Kaby Lake, clock for clock.
Look, the mesh started off as like a internal kind of like a internal project like that. It's actually more of a tech demonstration rather than an actual thing. It's come from like this whole PhD, like the bunch of engineers got together and they thought up something, and then this is just like they brought it up, but it's not really, it's just like it's not really as, I mean, it's not as cut and dry, or it's not as simple as, oh look, here's mesh, because it's not doing exactly what it's supposed to, or it's not doing exactly what they claim it's supposed to do. There will be more data coming out on this, because I know for a fact I've been talking to quite a few engineers, even at these Intel and at AMD, and there's a lot more data that actually needs to come out for mesh for us to truly understand what it's actually doing. I mean, AnandTech's got a nice review out there, which kind of explains it, but there's even more data that's actually going to come out with mesh. So, yeah, I mean, so much for being glued together. Sorry, again, I'm rambling, but so much for being absolutely, like glued together, blah, blah, blah. Look, if the performance is there, who gives?
I don't care. They could staple it.
Exactly. They could use snake oil and put them together. If it runs, it runs.
Yeah, that is true.
They panicked a little, a lot. Not a little.
A lot.
I still don't think they're going to lose that much market share, because at the end of the day, Intel still dominates the laptop market. Data centers aren't going to switch on that fast. They're not going to just go like, oh, this new untested, never before used architecture just came out. We're switching all of our stuff to it. No. They're locked into contracts that can be multi-year, and they have some kind of replacement system that only works for, like, I know there's a hot swap technology for Xeons, which you can't run that with Threadripper. So just, Epic.
Yeah. So there are certain markets, like basically RASCAS and stuff like that. You're still stuck with Intel.
Yeah. So I think, I think maybe in like the enthusiast market, the people who build their own systems, Ryzen will be hugely successful, and we're already seeing that.
True. But and I mean, even over here right now, I'm getting a whole bunch of inquiries for like Epic systems and stuff like that, because they've heard about the core count, 64 cores in the 2P, and because the video guys are losing their shit. They're like, dude, we can do this, and even the 1P with 32 cores, that CPU is going to sell out here. It truly is, because I know so many video guys who bought the 10-core Broadwell E, and right now they're actually pulling their hair out. So
yeah, there was a massacre. I mean, the same CPU is selling for like almost the half now. I mean, it's actually the half, because it was 1,700 plus taxes. So here it was 1,900 euros to get a 6950X, and now to get a the 7900X, and now I actually found a lot of CPUs selling for less than 1,000 euros for the 7900X. So that's like a huge bummer. Also because you get a huge improvement in frequency, like it boosts up to 4.3 gigahertz. Yeah, this the boost, but still huge.
It does boost a lot higher, but it doesn't really overclock. Like, unless you delid and then upgrade VRM cooling on your motherboard, the 7900X does not clock a lot higher than the 6950X. surprisingly.
I mean, with the
It doesn't.
with the
It
new
really doesn't. It's like
delete tools, I will do that with the black silicon, and who gives a shit? You have still warranty on your CPU. I mean, they deserve it.
The thing is, most users won't be deleting their CPUs though. It's just like that.
Most
that's
users are
ridiculous.
not gonna buy 1,000 euros of CPU.
Yeah, but if I'm buying $1,000 CPU, okay, let's say I'm buying a $1,000 CPU, would I really want to risk breaking it with a delid?
I'll buy it deleted already if I had the doubt of breaking it. There's a lot of websites that do that. I mean, King does it. Overclockers.co.uk does it. Some shops in Italy do that. So I mean, it's like $25 to delete the CPU with the conductor out from T Grizzly. So it's the liquid metal thermal paste, and they basically glue it together with the black silicon. It's brand new with a much better CPU. It's almost like soldering that because the liquid metal is basically the same material. Indium and gallium, and it should be like almost the same composition. I mean, they use gold, okay, but it's just to make it stick to the copper IHS. It's not the actual conductive material between the die and the IHS. So I mean, if I manage to get the 7900X, I'll probably buy the Romans deleting tool. It's 89.
Right now, it looks like the only one you can get that can actually do it.
And they also give the black silicon together, so I suppose I will save some money on that. It's like $10, but it's still some money. After spending 1,000, every penny counts.
I mean, but also I do understand what Bilzoid is saying. I mean, he's like, look, most workstation guys or most like regular users will probably buy it for the core count, would probably run it at defaults or maybe push it 100 or 200 megahertz more, and that's where they'll kind of leave it. Correct? Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to say. Yeah. And in that case, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue because it's going to hit temperatures, thermal throttling, or VRM throttling. One of the two is going to happen.
I mean, Steve from Gamers Nexus, we're working on some X299 content right now, and the numbers I've seen he's only managed to get the CPU to pull about 264 watts before it just overheats completely. So. And that's like 4.5 gigahertz under 1.2 volts V-core. So that's like it
doesn't look good, man.
It's like if you don't delid these things, it's pretty much a 6950X with one minor issue. The mesh for games is underperforming Broadwell.
Yeah, there's a big issue with gaming.
Only in games. It's really only games. It's like for other workloads, it works just fine because that's what it's meant to work with. But games, because of them, just the way they use the cache or something, they really don't like the mesh architecture that Intel has put on the new high-end desktop chips. So, bit of a mess.
Yeah, just to be totally precise, it's not about the cache. It's actually the intercore latency. Like the way the scheduler switches process core while managing the threads. But I mean, it's nothing really complicated. It's just the way it says, wait, pass it on another core. It's not that complicated.
Even
optimized
that, you still got cache access to get the other cores cached instructions for that.
Yes.
So it's still basically the mesh hooks up all the cores and the L3. So. For all those cores, so it is interlinked between that, and so games really don't like it. So basically, if you're a high-end gamer, KB Lake, you go KB Lake. You just buy a 7700K, and that's it. Which that's depressing, honestly. And it does make me wonder what they're going to do for Coffee Lake, because there is a rumored 6-core Coffee Lake.
Yeah, it's kind
of. That's what I was actually referring
to when I say mesh? Is that going to be on mesh, or is it not going to be on mesh? Because if it's on Ring,
it's not going to be on mesh. It's going to be mainstream.
It's not going to be on mesh because it's actually supported by Z270. It should be actually supported by Z270.
Dude, KB Lake X, which isn't mesh, runs on X299.
Yeah.
But Coffee Lake
Yeah, I know. No, but I'm saying mesh versus
part.
no mesh. Like ring versus mesh is so internal to the CPU, it doesn't matter what platform you put it on. Intel could totally make a Z270 mesh CPU. Like, they control how the platform works. It's not really a problem for them to make some kind of translation layer if they have to.
That's true. That's true.
And I mean, the mesh is internal to the chip, so they wouldn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, all you see is the DDR4 pinout and the PCIe you have the power connections and the PCIe and DDR4 pinout on the socket. That's really all you see from the motherboard side. So they could do a meshed Coffee Lake. And then it's like, so the all-time best gaming architecture ever is going to be Kaby Lake for like next 2 years or something.
Mesh Coffee Lake, so it's going to be Coffee Filter Lake. They're going to call it Mocha or Frappuccino or something like that. What's the platform? It's Starbucks. Starbucks $2.99.
I mean,
I don't know if it makes sense to do a 6-core mesh platform. Yeah, honestly, but
yeah, I still think like they could definitely do a ring to 6-core, but then it's like if the 6-core gets ring, then you're in this weird situation where just high-end desktop is like the 6-core high-end desktop chip is just worse than the mainstream one again,
that would be stupid.
Which is actually kind of how it's been running because if you look at
it's like Intel.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want single-threaded performance, go mainstream. If you want multi-threaded, go high-end desktop or Threadripper or Ryzen or it's a mess. It's just
It's a mess.
Yeah, but what if we don't need high-end? And Intel this week thought about that and launched a new lineup of CPUs, a new lineup of i3s.
Okay.
Out of nowhere. That should be
again
between the G4560 and the i3-7350K.
Yeah.
They manage a lot of there's a lot of products like
they managed to tweak a lot of software settings on the same silicon, didn't they?
They're just pulling every strain of air from that silicon. They actually though have something particular. They're stepping S0 instead of stepping B0.
Yeah.
And to me, it doesn't totally make sense. I mean, why don't they do a 7350K S0 stepping?
Really?
If they want to sell.
Because they don't want to cut the 7350K price? We already know Ryzen 3 is coming out like in a week or something.
Yeah, and it's going to be...
Reviewers are getting samples already. And
yes.
So we're going to be seeing Ryzen 3 drop, and this is Intel going like, we don't have competition again for this, do we? Nope. Okay, start making i3s out of literally anything with 2 cores.
I still think the most relevant thing on the lower end market are going to be the Raymond Ridge and the Bristol. No, the Bristol Ridge is out already. The Raymond Ridge, the Zen plus Vega APUs. Those are going to be really relevant at the end of the year.
For people who are just building a gaming system who just need like a low-end CPU with not 2 cores, but like 4 threads, it's basically i3 versus Ryzen 3. And the crazy thing is these things, Ryzen 3 has overclocking enabled on all of the CPUs. The only i3 that overclocks is the 7350K. The 7350K costs as much as a Ryzen 5.
Yeah.
The 7350K almost goes as a Ryzen 3 platform. CPU plus mainboard plus RAM. I mean, not that much.
Okay, no, not RAM, because RAM kits are now crazy
but like
expensive.
You can buy CPU and motherboard for the same price as a CPU. It's exactly the same thing that happened when Ryzen 7 launched, with the fact that the CPU cost like the entire platform cost just like the CPU from Intel.
Yeah.
They're falling for the same mistake month after month this year. It's gonna be 12 times.
Also, we had that rumor of the G4 560. They're actually making new Pentiums, aren't they? They're doing a G4 4600 with hyperthreading and a G4 620 with hyperthreading.
Yeah, and also the price.
But this is just like a million different i3s at different clock speeds, and they go from what? They go from 3.5 to 4.2 gigahertz on the top end locked i3. And the thing is, you don't have a clock, like they don't really have much of a clock advantage over Ryzen, right? Because they're like, what, at best they're going to be 200 megahertz above the average Ryzen 3 CPU.
Yeah, but it's clock Ryzen, you can't touch these guys.
And
yeah, but you still have 2 physical cores more. So
yeah, and you have the 2 cores advantage. It's just like, this is way too little, way too late for way too much money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I really doubt that the 70, unless like the 7340, the new i3 7340 is like $20 down from where the i7 7320 is. It's like, who cares? Who cares about these?
I mean, if that's already at 149, then that doesn't leave much room, you know. Exactly. And then you're going to be at $150, $160 for a i3. It's nonsensical. I don't see a point. Okay, there's 51 watts, but today, I mean,
But here's the thing, Ryzen doesn't pull any power either.
Exactly.
It's ridiculously efficient.
They nailed it this year. They nailed it. Price, performance, and consumption. I mean, if they could do that on GPU side, NVIDIA would be ruined in a month.
Yeah, except NVIDIA hasn't been just sitting here putting out 5% increments in performance for 6 years.
Exactly.
They're like, should we pull 30% more or 40% more? Let's go for 40% more.
The thing is, NVIDIA still has like AMD is, you know, we say they're really far behind right now, but it's nothing compared to what like FX versus Sandy Bridge was. You know, like FX came out and Sandy Bridge, that was like, that was so one-sided, it wasn't even funny. And then Ivy Bridge comes out and it's just like, oh, it's worse. And it gets even worse. And it just kept, FX came out and was a regression against Phenom 2 in single-threaded performance.
Yes.
The only thing FX was good for was heavily multi-threaded workloads in a time when games had a hard time using more than 4 cores. Okay. It was just like, so Intel was just like, well, see you later, AMD. You're not ever catching up with this.
And I think the guys at AMD took it seriously.
They took 6 years of vacation.
They took it seriously, though. They were like, see you later, and they would be like, see you later. And they came up with something good. So, I mean, actually,
AMD versus NVIDIA, it's like, even like up until the Fury X, AMD wasn't that far behind. Like the 290X, you know, it started out a bit behind the 780 Ti. Nowadays, you'd rather have a 290X than a 780 Ti.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Intel is just like, they've really fell asleep on the throne, and now the throne is running away.
They did.
Yeah,
I mean, they fell off. They have no answer technically, right? So sure.
Yeah, you don't pull out a new architecture in a year.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to make an architecture.
No, exactly. And you can't, like, for example, AMD will sell you a 32-core EPYC CPU that goes in a single socket motherboard and costs $2,000. Fine. How much is a 28-core Intel Xeon CPU?
$8,800.
No, that's for the 4P scaling one.
Yeah, that's for the 4P. But you're still looking at the better part of like $4,500 or $5,000 for one of those CPUs.
Yeah, right? Still a lot of money. Yeah. Still a lot of money that I don't have. So yeah, that's totally fine. And speaking of money, you go on. Then I hook up from that.
Because look, like, even the Xeons don't have the kind of bandwidth that you're looking for. You've got 128 lanes. In fact, I read an article some time ago, and we in fact did even talk about it. Somebody took the AMD EPYC platform and hooked up a whole bunch of NVMe drives to it, like a whole freaking bunch, I think. And that platform hit 57 gigabytes, proper gigabytes per second of bandwidth. Like moving data around, it's incredible. And they were only using 96 lanes of PCI. They still had more lanes left. So
oh my god,
they gotta match up the technology as to reach up for AMD now.
Yeah,
it's always been the opposite.
Intel has been nickel and diming people on features for years now. Like, just look at how many i3 SKUs they make, because all of them are locked, right? AMD's like, we have 2 Ryzen 3s because you can overclock them. Right? You can do whatever you want with those CPUs, so AMD doesn't need a whole 10 SKU lineup. They need 2 chips.
Yeah.
A good one and a one that you need to overclock to match the good one. Like,
job done.
Yeah, and speaking of AMD, we're going to be getting some, Ryzen 3, but also Threadripper is just around the corner.
Oh, man, we're so pumped up. There was some... okay, I shouldn't say that, but there was some call this week. There's some conference calls about AMD new stuff, and man, it's gonna be insane. I cannot say anymore. Just mentioning the calls is already too much. But
good job, mate. So when's the red van gonna come pick you up?
They already they're knocking at the door, actually. Yeah, jokes aside. Okay. Say hi to my little fellow here, the 4th guest for the night, that just woke up. And yeah, the nice thing is that some websites are already leaking unboxings. There was Cheap Hell that was reported by video cards that they unboxed the massive, the beast. The board we're all waiting for.
Extreme, yeah.
Yes, the magic board. No, this is not the right board, bro. We're talking about the Zenith.
No, but there's some really good boards coming. Like even when I was at,
I'm not liking the Gigabyte. I'm
sorry, guys. My guest feels like be a clamber, so you can have.
The good news. The good news I feel is like unlike X299, X399 is looking a lot more tame in terms of power consumption.
Yeah. They already start from a base that is really
ultimately, if you max out an X399 CPU, you're going to be looking at about 400 watts of power consumption. Worst case scenario, Prime 95. If you max out X299, you're looking at, well, nobody's managed to max it out because the VRMs just stop you, but the VRM basically goes, nope, we're not doing that. I can't do it. And you can't cool the CPU either. So
and they go.
Yeah. So basically you get stopped by the safeties before you go, full thermonuclear on you. But
full Fukushima mode.
But yeah, so X399 has that as a big benefit that they really do just max out at like 400 watts, though. I'm already not liking some of the VRMs that we're seeing for X399, because
why?
Okay, so first of all, Intel has the fiber advantage, so they do run a higher voltage, so less current. So that gives Intel a little bit, it puts a bit less strain on the VRM, which is the main reason why Intel uses the fiber on Skylake X.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sure about it. I mean,
it does.
What if they come up with the same thing?
AMD, this is Ryzen glued together. It has a V-core plate.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything actually. They could put something on the on the PCB of the CPU to make the fiber being a thing, like the 4770K or the 4790K, that had actually a system of small transistors on the PCB to enhance the voltage regulation on the CPU. So anything is possible. I mean, until we have our hands on the products, we should give anything for granted. We should take anything from granted. Sorry.
I still doubt we're going to be seeing a fiber implementation from AMD. I know they do have low dropout regulators built directly into the CPUs on Ryzen. But
I mean, you got more than twice the number of pins. That's why. I mean, I know PCIe lanes, but it doesn't actually justify three times the pins.
I mean, this is the TR4 socket is basically the same socket as EPYC. So
yeah, but if they're
it's not cross compatible, but it is based off the same socket. I think this might be a tooling cost thing. It's just making two completely different sockets, just not worth it.
Who knows?
Because these will be these are low volume sockets.
Yeah.
So it's like making two completely different.
Here,
making a 3,000, like if they downscaled it to say like a 2,000 and 2,500 pin socket, because AMD does have a connectivity advantage on Threadripper. You know, if they did a 2,500 pin socket, it's still a massive socket. So it's just like, well, we already have a 4,000 pin socket we're making anyway. Just use that. So
True.
Yeah.
Because the socket's the same, whether you use Epic or you use Threadripper, the socket is identical.
They won't, except they won't work in each other's sockets.
Yeah. But I mean, here at least the VRM looks really nice. At least on the
Zenith Extreme. And I still, well, here's the thing: the VRMs on even like the X299 boards, which everybody's complaining about, they're fine. It's just the cool there's no heatsink, and we're seeing that again here. Do you see any fins on that? I don't really see
any fins. So there's probably
wait about the Zenith Extreme actually.
The I/O cover better not be the heatsink. I don't want to.
No. I'm saying there is some kind of vents on it. Maybe you can install a 40 millimeters fan that is included in the bundle. I don't know.
Fins on that. Like, there's no fins on the heatsink anyway. It's just. But
yeah, that's true. I think they'll probably update it before the launch, just like with X299, as soon as Overclockers put their hands on it.
I think so too.
I think that, like, honestly, I still don't get how this ever. It's like, it's really like, especially with like power stages, which are really well, like the international rectifier power stages that everybody is using on the high-end boards. Mm-hmm. It's literally a case of look at the data sheet, check what output voltage you want, how much output current you want, and it'll tell you exactly how much heat it'll put out. And at that point, you're going to look at your heatsink and go like, oh, this isn't big enough, you know. And it shouldn't even be a case of testing. It should just be a case of, well, this is going to put out about 20, maybe 50 watts of heat. You can't cool it with a block.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we live in a very interesting time. We'll wait and see, I guess. The showcase is expected to be like 3 days now.
Yeah. What I do like, honestly, is that at least they've got like a heat pipe and stuff. So it seems like
on the Zenith, And
I mean, it's not the X99 SOX champion that you analyzed yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
It was like a huge system of heat pipes and.
Yeah, but they still had no surface area. It's like, I bet you could have saved the entire winged monstrosity if you just gave that main VRM heatsink actual fins. It needs surface area, damn it. It's like, I mean, they basically went and it's like, okay, so we could make this small compact heatsink with a lot of surface area and not have this hulking monstrosity around the board. And they went for the hulking monstrosity. But, you know, at the end of the day, that will keep the VRM cool. But here, like, the Zenith, it does dump a ton of heat into that giant I/O cover. I mean, the Rampage 5 Extreme already did that, and that worked. Like, that I/O cover got warm when you were loading up those boards. So I think the Zenith will be fine, but then we look at some of the other boards, especially that Gigabyte one, and that looks really anemic. It looks like
the upper heatsink is really small. I mean, that's
the interesting thing.
Not appropriate.
The interesting thing I'm seeing with X399 for me is it looks like you have a vCore VRM right above the socket, and then the SoC VRM is actually shoved to the left of the board under next to the DIMM slots because there's just not enough space. Thanks to the socket.
That's like the only way around, I think.
But I mean,
with the Gigabyte board, I
think with the Gigabyte board, there's such a big heatsink next to the memory slots that might actually be the vCore VRM, which would be really weird.
The SoC on the upper side,
and then SoC on the up, because that would like. But it's just, I mean, we've seen GPUs ultimately have that same issue where you have all the GDDR5 and your vCore VRM is a mile away. So engineering-wise, it's been solved before and on things with less space than this. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Some of these look kind of underwhelming. Some of the other ones look like they might be okay. I'm really interested to see if like the left side heatsink is actually like vCore or if it's just SoC and it's really big for a reason or something. It's an interesting platform. I can't I don't know how much information we'll get at the showcase. I don't expect to see a lot.
Don't expect too much information. They're still going to launch in the first days of August. So AMD is playing the sandbagging thing. We get back on the topic. They're sandbagging to the last minute, and it's actually happening with Vega too. So we'll see. We'll see in a couple of days.
You talking about what was it? Who was it? Bits and
no
Chips?
Comment. No,
Bits and Chips saying that they're sandbagging.
Bits and Chip is just throwing.
I think they're literally just chill. Like they're
the guys are from Italy. They know as much as I do. So no, they're not. It's not because they say that. It's because AMD is actually doing that, and the cat is trying to eat my cables. So sorry for my end gesture and at the lower part of the camera. It's the cat trying to ruin the show.
Yeah, that happens a lot to me too. My cats walk around all over the damn place.
Honestly, I'm not gonna make a comment on the sandbagging with Vega just because I have a Vega. I have more information on Vega than just having a Vega, and I'm at this point, I'm still holding out hope, but let's just say my optimism has been turned down a bit.
Yeah.
So let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Threadripper. So we've just had a look at some really, interesting motherboards. I'm not going to say awesome because I'm not sure. That's what one thing I always make sure to do is I don't think what a motherboard will do. I want to test. So I don't look at a motherboard and go oh, that's a nice motherboard. It's that could be a nice motherboard.
Yeah.
It really depends what you end up with in the end, because it's not just about the hardware. It's also about the software and the execution. Because it's you can use really high-end parts and get miserable results with them. But yeah, so back to Threadripper and cooling it. Cooling is going to be interesting as well. AMD is rumored to be putting AIOs on it, which
sounds pretty meh. Because last time we had FX 9590.
Yeah, because you're not going to have very many coolers out on launch. Even right now, I'm not hearing any news about custom AIO water blocks or anything like that. Stuff that's made
had a
for
couple of news of that. AlphaGo is working on it. And Noctua already has prototypes for the air cooling part, but those were really small. So I actually doubt about the fact they're going to be really much power hungry. I don't think that's
at least the good thing is we get water coolers with this. It's similar to what they did with the
they did it for the FX 8150. They did it for the FX 8350. They did it FX 9590. They did it for the 9370. I think even they've done it a ton. They've shipped AIOs, and I think with Threadripper being high-end desktop, and I'm not even sure if there's going to be separate SKUs with AIOs or if there's going to be
just
one SKU with the AIO included.
I think they're going.
There could be two different SKUs. Yeah, one with.
Yeah, it could be separate. It could be separate. It could be only one option. And either way, even if it was only one option, it looks like AMD's. Well, I think they're probably going to end up going with Cooler Master AIOs, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
They make fine AIOs. It's not an issue. But honestly, I think if it comes with an AIO, you're going to be able to overclock a bit on it out of the box. That's going to be pretty cool.
Or at least it'll let XFR kick in and do its job. You should see it boost to whatever the XFR frequencies.
Yeah. So I think it's a cool move. It's definitely a nice value add because even if you're not using the AIO, you can always zip tie it to a GPU or something.
Exactly.
for me, at least, it's more AIO.
It's like overclocker stream. Yeah. I wish I could zip an AIO to my GPU.
But
jokes aside, I don't know. I mean, it should be a really high performance AIO. Is 120 millimeters is not gonna do it because it's
Double
still a
thick.
200
No, you can get good performance out of a double thick 120 rad.
You could.
Yeah, but if it's push and pull, maybe. I guess.
You could. The AIOs they shipped with the FX 8350s and the 8150s weren't that bad. And those were double thick.
The ones that they ship with, even the
GPUs.
But
those were like 80 watts less, at least.
Yeah, I mean...
the Threadripper is expected to be 180 watts.
The rumored 12-core part TDP is 125 watts, and the 16-core part is rumored at 155.
155, yeah.
If the Ryzen 7 is an anticipation for what's coming, I don't think they're gonna have different TDPs.
Oh, no, I don't think so either, but ultimately it's like Ryzen 7 when you hammer it with an overclock. And I mean really hammer it, because remember, if you don't want to go past like 3.8 gigahertz, your power consumption actually stays really reasonable, and then past 3.8 it just blows through the roof. Depending on how much you failed at the Silicon Lottery. Some CPUs will go all the way to 4, like 3.8 you can do on like 1.3 volts or something, and then once you want to do like 4, you need 1.4 volts, and that's a huge jump in power consumption.
Yeah.
So with this AIO, I think right off the bat, these CPUs, you could be hitting, you could definitely maybe push 3.7, 3.8 gigahertz out of the 16 and the 12 core even higher on the AIO that it ships with, which in that case, it's a huge value add. That's a huge
it's like 10% more
basically
performance.
Don't need to buy a better cooler.
You're paying much less than Intel, so yeah, everything is
like compared to like a 7900X at that point, it's like, okay, so I buy my chip and I don't need a cooler at all. It's just you can use the AIO that it comes with. So that's and you get the a whole extra 6 cores. So
yep.
The fact is, I don't know how the fact that there is actually 2 dies under the IHS is gonna influence performance, because when you have something in the middle, usually water blocks just go and exchange heat. The water goes in hot, comes out cold. I mean cold and comes out hotter. If there are 2 dies, both where the water arrives and the water leaves, I mean, the thermal collapse is gonna be much more an issue.
Well, if you actually look at,
here's the thing, cooler like if AMD is commissioning these AIOs pretty much, they're gonna have that sorted. It's like not an issue. AMD's just gonna say, okay, there's die A here, die B there. You're gonna shove cold water right in the middle of them, and then you're gonna have it go out around that, and that's like, I don't see an issue with that. Also, we don't know. I mean, if the dies are close enough, I don't think you might see, like the difference between one die and the other die in terms of the temperatures might not be that massive either.
Yeah, I guess. The fact is, I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm expecting X399 just like anyone else, but about thermals, I don't know.
It's going to be better than X299 any day of the week.
Look, I mean, if you actually just think about the size of that of that cooler, of your IHS, it gives them a lot of room to play with. They can come up with some really cool internal designs for like the water path and stuff like that for it to flow over every single core, just like
you can get like a water block with so many fins on that it's
true,
just kind of ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah.
EK should be working on that. I mean, it's almost sure they're already.
I'm sure.
Have you seen the teaser for the Der Bauer LN2 pot for Threadripper?
No.
That thing is monstrous.
Can I have a link later, maybe?
It looks insane. I can't I wish I could say I could buy it, but knowing Der Bauer's manufacturing costs and sale prices,
that one unfortunately
that's not going to happen. But it does look amazing. So I think honestly, like ultimately, maxed out Threadripper is probably going to put out less heat than a maxed out X299 anyway.
Of course.
So that's just.
I mean, the Ryzen CPUs are rated for 95 watts. I mean, the X parts. I don't care about the non-X parts.
They go up to about 200.
180.
Once you overclock them, 180, 200 depends on the workload. I was pulling 180 in like Cinebench. If you throw IBT on it, you get another.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking about stock frequency because Threadripper seems like a huge CPU to cool. So we should just talk about reference clocks. Overclock should come later, as soon as we know that it can be cooled by conventional cooling.
Why wouldn't it? We've had hotter platforms all the time.
Yeah,
I know.
You're being like super like doubtful of something that is like. I don't get how Intel plans to cool the 18 core because we know how much the 10 core pulls, and the 18 core is going to be 80% more.
2 gigahertz frequency. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah, 2.2 gigahertz. I'm willing.
They're not going to ship it with a cooler anyway. We already know that they don't ship high-end desktop with coolers.
That's your problem.
So it's going to be like, you're going to get that chip. Somebody, you know what? Somebody's going to try to put a Hyper 212 Evo on one of these. I guarantee.
I think someone
I guarantee you somebody's going to put a Hyper 212 Evo on one of them. And they're going to be really upset when it doesn't handle it.
Anyways, we rambled a lot about the new Intel and AMD CPUs that came out this week, that we discussed about this week, for the problems, for the news, for blah, blah, blah. But we'll come to the last topic for this OC show episode, and it's the HWBot World Tour that is taking place right now in South Africa. I mean, not today, next week. Today there was like the beginning of the preparations for the event, so that's why I was confused. Sorry.
Yeah, Zyla even flew out, I think, from Taiwan today to go to South Africa.
That's why I was confused, because I saw going to the South Africa. And interesting, apart from the fact that there's gonna be tons of overclock LN2 overclockers, hardware, ports, and copper. There's gonna be a higher concentration of copper rather than air in the place. Is the fact that Seasonic is holding a giveaway for some of their PSUs. So we're going to link that in the chat, so you can participate in the raffle, because it's a raffle, so it's an extraction. And yeah, we're gonna see many overclockers. I mean, Vivi is still in the ride, right? So it should be one of the clockers for the South Africa stop. For the
HWBot World Tour. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
and even our dear friend Dr. Weez.
Dr. Weez, yes.
Hope he's feeling better. I haven't caught up on any more. He was sick. His whole family was really sick last week.
Oh wait, he said like he's injured, right?
Yeah, like he was injured. Everybody was down with like some sort of fever, flu, really bad.
Yeah, flu. Like his wife and his daughter.
Yep.
Yeah, they were both sick, and then he fell sick too.
He fell sick.
So yeah, take back healthy and strong, Dr. Weez, because we want to see some of your great results in the World Tour in Cape Town. So yeah,
I think every single time there's a World Tour, I like FOMO out so bad. It's like I just there's so much fun. Like even last year at Computex last year, it was epic. It was truly epic. Next year.
And the World Tour is accessible with
anybody can go.
Yeah, but you gotta buy a ticket, right?
You gotta buy a ticket.
To actually participate as an overclocker. Right?
Yeah, because I mean the LN2 is expensive, guys. It's not.
Yeah,
that's going to be a lot of money.
So maybe sponsors, if you're watching the OC show, you could help out more with the OC show to make it more accessible to more people. Because overclock needs to be important for the people. It's free performance for everyone. Since you always do it can overclock up to 6 gigahertz. And then you don't actually do something real, concrete to work with. I mean, try to invest more in those things. And Intel don't fuck up anymore.
Yeah, really. And like us overclockers can really help the entire game. I mean, we can help a whole bunch of gamers out as well, you know, fine-tuning their systems, just teaching them how to get the best out of the hardware that they buy. Because, look, there's no point in buying like ROG and like 10-core CPUs and then not knowing how to like extract a good 10, 20, 30% performance out of them for free, literally. So you're buying the hardware, you're buying the good stuff, use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Also, just one thing in particular, if you want just to attend the OC workshop, okay, you go wherever you want. If you want to attend the OC workshop, it's free. I mean, you can learn how to overclock. There's going to be some nice overclockers. Then they're going to teach you how to do that. And of course, it's not going to be extreme overclocking because, as we already said, LN2 is really expensive, especially in countries like South Africa, where there's not really many suppliers for the LN2. So if you want to participate to the OC contest, you gotta get a ticket to participate in the event. If you just want to learn how to overclock, if you have access to the EGE and the event where the World Tour is actually taking place. It's the Electronics and Gaming Expo. So if you already have access to that event, it's going to be free for you. If you want to overclock with ambient overclocking, like LN2 is not included in the package. Let's call it package.
Yeah, you get LN2 when you pay $100.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thing to support the overclocking community, and it's a nice thing to be introduced into extreme overclocking because
it's a big family and it's a very nice family. Yeah, I mean,
we before this episode we were a family, but then Bill Zoe decided to get hardware, and now he's not in the family anymore. Anyways, enough with the rambling. It's been half and an hour, so we're pretty much done with the show tonight. It was nice to have you on the show. I see there's many people. There's more than 100 people, so it's nice.
If you'd like for us to discuss something the next week, or if you want us to talk about something,
leave your questions. We can discuss those in the after party too if you want. And if you're watching it from YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video on Facebook, Twitter, whenever you want. And leave us your impression, some topics to discuss, and everything you want. For tonight, it's everything. Goodbye from Atlas.
Zoid, goodbye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Yeah. Have a great evening, guys, morning, whatever, and catch you next week.
See you.